The Iranians. Now we want to turn our attention to the specific branch of Aryans which gave rise to the prophet Zarathustra, and which provided the cultural matrix for the development of the religion, which is his legacy. This is only intended as a brief survey of Iranian cultural history up to the time of Ferdowsi. The ancient Iranian world is divided into three major cultural spheres. These are commonly called the Eastern, Northern, and Western realms. In the Eastern area, as Zarathustra was born, lived and died, the Eastern sphere, with its unique dialect of language called Avestan, disappeared from history as it was subsumed by the Western Iranian Empire. The northern branch continued its archaic Indo-European horse-based lifestyle and gave rise to tribes such as the Scythians, Sarmatians, and Alans. All of these played roles in the history of Europe. The Western Iranians entered the area now occupied by modern nation of Iran, or the Iranian Plateau, around 2000 BC. The Iranian Plateau has had a history of continuous civilization from about 4000 BC. Iranian peoples entered the region of present-day Iran beginning in the dawn of the second millennium, and 1,500 years later they had established three kingdoms in the region: the Medes in the northwest, the Persians in the southwest, and the Parthians in the north. The region was at first politically dominated by the Assyrians and Mesopotamians, until the Medes unified with the Persians, formed the first empire, and won their independence. In alliance with the Babylonians, they conquered the Assyrian Empire in 612 BCE. In 550, Cyrus the Great established the Achaemenid Empire, and through military genius and skill and governance expanded the empire from Egypt to India. Cyrus is credited with being an ideal leader and one of the world's first champions of human rights. He was more loved than feared, and his vast and well-organized empire would last for almost 200 years. His capital city was Pasargad, an engineered city designed to withstand major earthquakes. Other notable Persian emperors of the Achaemenid dynasty were Darius I, who built the city of Persepolis, and Xerxes I. Map 3, the Empire of Cyrus. Persian conquests went all the way into the Balkans and the Greek islands in Europe. This led to conflict with the Greek city-states, which resulted in the Greco-Persian Wars, 499 through 499 BCE. Conflict with the Persians became a theme of Western politics from this time on. In 331, the Macedonian king, known to history as Alexander the Great, led among the Persians as the accursed Alexander conquered the Persian Empire. In the process, he destroyed much of the elaborate infrastructure and had been built up over the centuries, and tried to kill off the Zoroastrian priesthood, thus mangling the record of religious oral literature. Shortly after his conquest, Alexander died and left chaos in his wake. The new empire was called the Seleucid, which was to last to 63 BC. This empire was characterized by forceful and coercive attempts to Hellenize the Persians. Zoroastrianism was disestablished and had to survive underground. The northwestern Iranian people, the Parthians, began mounting resistance to the Seleucids and eventually ousted them. To renew an Iranian-based culture in the region of Old Persia, Zoroastrianism was restored as a major religion of the new empire, although many other cults were also practiced. In 224 CE, the prince of Persia, Ardashir, defeated the Parthians and became the new king of kings. This was the beginning of the Sasanian Empire. This empire was in every way comparable to the power and influence of the Achaemenid Empire. Zoroastrianism became its official religion, and its cultural influence would be felt throughout the known world. The empire would last until the Arab-Muslim conquest of 644 through 664. The Arab-Muslim conquest was a tremendous shock to Iranian culture. The Arabs had been major players in the world until the rise of religious zealotry and organized violence expressed by Muhammad and his followers. Persians had dominated all aspects of life between the Indus in the east and Mesopotamia in the west for 6 centuries. Persian was the language of commerce, and Zoroastrianism was the gold standard of all religions. Soon after the Arabic conquest, the Persians reasserted themselves from within Islam, providing the new faith with a philosophical depth and learning it had lacked before the Persians had been forced to accept it. The Persian language survived and thrived in the time to follow and was used for epic poetry such as the Shahnameh of Ferdowsi and the Sufi poetry and philosophies of Hafez, Rumi, and Omar Khayyam. Iran was Islamicized, but was not Arabicized. Islam itself was transformed in Persian hands. It came to become what is called Islam Ajam, Islam of the non-Arab nations. It was the universalistic and philosophical nature of Iranian ideas that spread their religion to Turkic peoples of the north of Persia. For most of the early history of Iranian peoples, there was a north-south divide. The south were civilized peoples, and to the north were the barbaric horsemen. Those to the north are most often referred to with the umbrella term Scythian. These northern Iranian tribes, early Scythians, Sarmatians, and Alans, led nomadic lives. They rode horses and drove chariots, as did their most distant Indo-European ancestors. They lived on the wide open steppe, which stretched from present-day southern Iran into the heart of Central Asia. In many ways, these were barbaric tribes. Little is known of their mythology or religion, but clear Iranian Germanic mythic and symbolic correspondences seem to show something of the elements of their cosmology. Although they continued to worship the old Indo-European gods, they probably also informed those ideas of Zarathustra. As a distinct ethnic group, these tribes almost completely disappeared from history around 700 CE. But descendants of the Alans survive today in the Caucasus region as the Ossets, who still speak an Eastern Iranian dialect.